Hi everyone, welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host Louisa. Today is actually Sunday. We don't usually do reports today, but we have something special. Today's October 20th, 2019, and joining me is our friend from Twitter, Greg Hamilton. Welcome back, Greg.
Hello, it's been a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Greg and I are going to be talking about his latest tweet, his timestamp gap code from the combination of the president's tweets and the Q drops. And we did an interview recently, which was really great. I was looking at the comments section. I know some people are still a little bit unsure about how this works, but we're going to keep coming back and bringing it to you so that you can follow along. And because it's very complicated, it's not like, it works, the same system works each time. As Greg has said, there's 43 different points to a Q com. So we're going to go over one today. I'm going to screen share the last one that Greg has posted here. And so here's Greg's website. Greg, I have your website up. Greg has joined me by telephone, and we're going to go to his most recent post, and we're going to check it out. So here we have, Greg, why don't you explain this last post that you have?
Yes. So what we're looking at is President Trump's last tweet. This tweet is a clip from Jean Pirro, talking from Fox News. There's no words on the tweet, just a photo clip of the video. What's interesting about this tweet is in the past 12 hours, President Trump has tweeted out this video clip 3 times. Once yesterday, then he retweeted it again as his last tweet of the day, as a retweet. And then today, just now, he has posted that tweet again. It's a different tweet from the first 2 of yesterday because it had to be redone with a new timestamp. So that one tweet we're looking at has 3 separate timestamps on it. These things are not done accidentally or for no purpose. There is a reason for everything that he does on Twitter. The timestamp and gap code comes from the Q drops. It says, learn our comms. Right. Comms is not coincidences. They're actual conversations. Within the Q drops, it says timing in between tweets. This is where we get the timestamp and gap code. The time in between tweets will always stay the same no matter where you are in the world, regardless of what time zone you are going to be looking at. Mm-hmm. So what we're looking at right now is we're going to look at President Trump's tweet and the time difference between when that tweet was originally posted. And if we go back to when that tweet was originally posted of the Jean Pirro Q drop, it was
hold on 1 second.
Out.
Let me go to your, I'm going to screen share your notebook, although your notebook doesn't actually indicate that what you're talking about right now, but I'm looking at the post, the notebook page from the post.
Now, if we look at it, what I've got written down are the numbers of the time stamp on the Pacific Coast time.
Okay.
So if we look at the first number on the page, it says 5:44.
Right.
That is a representative of 44 minutes past 5 o'clock in the AM on the Pacific Coast time. Now, once again, on the East Coast, it would be at 8:44.
Right. But we notice your next entry is in red. That's interesting.
Yes, I call those ghost timestamps. And once again, this comes from Q drops. That ghost is not a made-up name that I've come up with. It's within Q drops.
Okay.
But this is how secret comms can also be presented. Okay. He has a timestamp of a tweet at 6:15 a.m., but he instantly deleted it. Mm-hmm. Now, nobody else knows that timestamp is there except for me and anyone else that tracks every single one of his tweets and is looking for secret communications.
Right.
Well, I am. He knows this, so we have a direct link and communication with each other. When I say I talk to Q, I am serious. We talk openly through the Q drops and through Twitter, through secret communications. So secret communications has been going on from the beginning of time, especially during warfare. During warfare, it is extremely important to be able to communicate openly without the enemy knowing that you're sending messages.
Right, and in today's day and age, right, but today's day and age where everybody's listening to everything. I mean, back in, World War II, we had the code breakers, right? We had the indigenous, there was a big group of indigenous Americans.
The Navajos.
The Navajos were the code breakers. Actually, I think the last one just passed away not that long ago.
Correct.
But that was a covert way of breaking code as well.
And once again, code is nothing but language. And that's a great example because the Navajos were using nothing but language that they understood, but no one else could.
Right.
So they could talk freely and openly without fear.
Right.
The cabal does this constantly.
The cabal does this. We know this. We see very obviously when they, repeat the word concrete how many times in their posts, and then all of a sudden they're all saying the word concrete, in their tweets. But isn't this also why? I mean, they figured this out. They know what's going on. They know who Q is, and this is why Kamala Harris, wanted President Trump taken off of removed from Twitter, because they know that there's this code, this timestamp gap code communication, and maybe I'm giving them too much credit if they figured it out. I don't know if they've really figured it out.
No, you're 100% correct, because what President Trump is doing with Q is doing the exact same thing that they've been doing against us for themselves. We are now changing and mirroring. Mirror isn't just an accidental word within the Q drops. Right. We are now using the secret comms of timing in between tweets. They had their own notebook. Twitter was made by black hats for black hats so that they can communicate in the open. Well, we're exposing all that. Now they have nowhere to hide.
So now we get what's going on here. And so what you're pointing to, you have your arrows here pointing to the 9/29 on October 20th, and you have the other arrow pointing to 6/28 on the previous day, yesterday's. These are Pacific time, of course, 6/28. So
6/28 was the original time that tweet was tweeted at, was at 6/28. When he retweeted it at 11 o'clock at night, I do not write down that timestamp because that is a retweet. I do not use retweets in my timestamp and gap code under most circumstances. Things are always evolving.
That's huge, though. Retweets, that's a huge piece of the puzzle that you just gave away.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, did I edit that out? We got 20 minutes. Come on, we got 12 minutes left. Let's get on with this. Sorry. Greg and I get into the minutia of everything. We have to move it along a little bit more. Okay, Greg, I'm going to go to the next page then, okay? Because let's go to the next page and move it along. I'm sorry, unless you want to just, finish up on how you
no, but this is all.
Well, this is important because the next one that we're on. I'm sorry, I hate to rush you, but let me just go back. I'm going to screen share. Just tell us how you got the 151, which is what's coming up next. Okay, and so how did you get that from this tweet? I'm going to re-screen share this so our viewers can see that. You're going to see in the next page that I share, the Q code drop is 151. So from these numbers that you're showing us here, how did you get 151 from those? Okay,
so the time difference between the two tweets was 15 hours and 1 minute.
Okay.
So there is my basic starting point. The time in between the two tweets is 15:01. So I'm going to go and look at Q drop 15:01.
Okay.
Do I find that is the message that's being relayed? Sometimes within the Q drops it says decipher what's relevant and irrelevant. Very important.
Oh, Q says that. Absolutely. Yep.
He
Not
does.
everything is relevant.
Correct.
Yeah. So you're like this. So Greg is like this mad genius. You know, he's got this. He's got all of the different combinations down pat as to what, you know, what the criteria are to interpret each com. And com is a communication. Clearly, the president's trying to communicate something. So okay, now we're on the actual Q drop, which is 151, capturing a very dangerous animal. So you're explaining how you came to this one.
And so then with part of the codes is 0, you know, being one of the secret codes on how to read this stuff. Let's use like something like, you know, like the letter E can be silent on the end of words.
Okay.
And it will change the whole meaning of the word. Even though you put on a letter that doesn't even make a noise, it changes the meaning. And so this is the same thing with the secret comms. 0 can be used at that same way. We can take the 0 away, or we can add a 0, depending on how we want to use the message.
0.
Well, this message, when I went to 1501, it was a little bit vague. I didn't see any particular message. So I took out the 0, and it goes to 151. And then it makes sense. How do you catch a dangerous animal? And if we think logically on what Q and President Trump has been doing the past 2 years, is he's trying to catch a very dangerous animal.
Right.
And how do you do that? It's very hard to do. So what you do is you just troll it and chase it and make it chase its own tail, and you wear it out until it's got no more energy.
Okay, so
and that.
Right. So this is exactly what they're trying to. Okay. So Judge Janine's tweet, the video clip that the president had tweeted. She's talking about this is a constitutional crisis, that there's a completely lawless attempt to remove an elected president. This is a coup d'etat, people. And so what, you know, this is the enemy within. So what the president is trying to communicate here, or at least he was sharing Judge Janine's, you know, monologue with Q and the Q drops, is they're trying to reassure us, to the public, in many ways, that part of the plan, that yes, we're talking about it now. Now look, people, you know, the minute you walk into a courtroom, you know that you all of a sudden find out you have no rights, because you had no idea we were a corporation, that the USA was a corporation, and the courts were there basically to I don't know, just in my opinion, extort your assets. That's all I have to say. They were using
all
us
the money.
Yeah, they were using us as, you can say, as surety. Okay, so we're surety for whatever their debts are. So they have been lawless. The courts have been lawless. I've experienced this firsthand. They are so lawless, it's not even funny. Can some people get justice? I guess they have to throw, you know, a morsel to somebody here and there, or there's just be complete anarchy. There'll be no faith in the system. Well, guess what? There is no faith in the system, because these power structures that have been corrupt and that have been lawless have really only affected for the most part, the average guy, you and me. We're the ones getting, you know,
middle class.
Absolutely. We're the ones, you know, getting fleeced, bent over, however you want to call it. And so now that this machine is, you know, directing its, I'll take this off screen share for a minute. Now that this machine is directing its ammunition at the president, it's, sorry about that. It's exposing itself. It's exposing its corruption, because now the target's not the average guy, the little guy who has no access to the media, no access to press, doesn't have billions of dollars, not influential. Now they're attacking somebody who is influential, who is a billionaire, who has this, and they're exposing themselves. But let me also say this, that the president is also, a lot of people thought that in this past week there was going to be something major happening. We're waiting for the IG report. Oh, that was it, right? Friday, we were supposed to get this IG report. We're not getting it. But of course, Maria Bartiromo said that we were probably not going to get it till the end of the month. The reason this is relevant, and of course, this is a Q statement. Why is this relevant? It's relevant because here it says, and I'll screen share this again, how do you catch How do you catch a dangerous animal? You wear them out. You wear them out. You let them expend all of their resources. If you're fighting with somebody, you're in a tug of war, Greg, right? I mean, at some point, it has to cross the line. At some point, somebody's going to run out
That's
of
right.
energy, whether it's energy,
Yep.
whether it's strength, whether it's money, whatever it is. You know, you're in a fight in a boxing ring. Somebody's going to get knocked out, and it's going to be it. Like, you're going to expend everything you have, right? You're going to go fishing. You're going to be the best angler there is, and you're going to wear that fish out until you just nice and easy roll them in. And you know,
That's it.
is President Trump not the best angler out there?
It's incredible. And then also, you know, with this particular tweet of 151, as I was saying, this tweet has been done 3 times. And each time it was posted, I have a different decode for it. And it wasn't that the decode was different each time. It's that this is how complex each gap can get, that given me enough time, I can decode it a whole bunch of times, keep taking us around the map, and it will always come back to the same spot, though. And that's kind of what's happening with that 151 with the calm. This is almost more coincidence than the actual communication. Right. But what we're doing is we're keeping myself training. I'm training the people that are watching and keep showing the connections and how everything's working, so that when there is important messages, that this is where it's at. As case in point, when Cummings passed away yesterday, all the decodes for the first 4 or 5 decodes from President Trump and the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy all confirmed that it was a suicide. And then if we go and look at Nancy Pelosi's tweet this morning, she praises how good he was and his decision. And if I read it correctly, she was saying better dead than to spread the word. You know what I'm saying? They're happier that he committed suicide than spilled the beans. So she's giving him props. Why would you give somebody props for dying?
Maybe because maybe he was about, like you said, to spill the beans, to flip sides,
Yep.
to something. Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, and you know his wife is going to try to run for that seat. Anyway, with the last remaining 4 minutes, because we wanted to keep this short, I just wanted to show, I'm screen sharing the third, other image that you had included in this tweet. It's talking about Snowden, it's talking about this is stuff that we kind of already know about Sessions. Here they're talking about Rod Rosenstein, Sessions, why did he recuse himself? And then here you go, how do you capture a very dangerous animal? Obviously, you know, who is best to conduct the attack? What force is necessary to retain control? So this is all into why does the U.S. military play such a vital role in this global game of risk? It is a global game of risk. And this is exactly what's happening. This is what Judge Janine, this is why this is relevant to what to the president's tweet, to Judge Janine's statement, and her talking about the lawlessness and this civil war, basically, those are my words, that's my paraphrasing, within the United States government, but that they're using all lawless, look, they're violating our Constitution, they're violating the
it's worldwide.
process.
It's worldwide because us taxpayers of America, our money is going outside America and going to all these powerful people on the other parts of the world that have nothing to do with America. So of course they don't want it. Yeah,
back to the
us taxpayers.
Right. So back to the calm.
I'm
gonna. This is the last image that you posted with your tweet, and it has to do with. Okay, back to the. It was a long one. That's why there's 4 different images, and then of course it's talking about. You know, what is money without power, right? And of course, this is referring to the president's landing in Hawaii, and this was, of course, you know, nothing is as it appears. So this is going to be a very interesting week, I think, folks. You know, a lot of people were disappointed to see that there was no IG report, but as you can see, things are happening. And
well, but let me show you how important this is. When Q first came out, the people that first understood Q, we went around like chickens with our head cut off and told everybody all kinds of crazy things that were going to happen immediately. But as the time went on, we became more wise, we became more calm, and we became more savvy. Well, the opposite is happening to the left. They're doing just the opposite.
Right.
They were calm because nobody cared at first. Now everybody cares. They're going nuts.
Right. They were calm.
Can't keep themselves.
In this last couple minutes, it's 20 minutes now, so I wanted to keep it short, but you're right. And so they did start out calm. They were very arrogant. They were very cocky and arrogant, and they thought that they had complete control. They still thought they had people on the inside. And of course, people have been flipping and have been helping. And so, right, if somebody's a liability, they're better gone. Or maybe there was so much dirt on this guy, he knew he was in for an indictment, and he, made a choice. Maybe he was stained, who knows. But at the end of this tweet, what I want to point out is, so why would sealed indictments be outside of the DC jurisdiction? And that's important because this is not under the USA Corporation. It's under the Organic Constitution, which is what D5 is about. D5 is actually a security clearance level, which is above the president. It's all military and civilian agencies in protecting the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, okay? So D5 is about, let's not forget, it's about those white hats that are there protecting us from enemies, domestic enemies, and this is what we're dealing with. So it says here, who can you trust? Have faith, patriots. So that's really the end message of all this, Greg, isn't it? It's about having faith, trusting the plan, knowing that these comms are relating to something in real life, in real time, that this is the new Q board because this is why it was set up. They knew Q would go offline at some point. Future proves past. So we're in the future now. The future has to refer back to a past post that is relevant to today. They knew this was going to happen. Well, that's another conversation. But that was the message.
Yeah.
That was the message for today.
But yeah, that is the message. It is to have faith and to keep showing and proving that there is a plan happening, that this is coordinated, that this is not haphazard, that these people are being arrested, not just off the cuff,
Right.
And that is the big part of it, as Q keeps saying, have faith, trust the plan. You're absolutely correct on that.
And I think the one thing, Q also says optics. Optics are important. This stuff has to play out. It's pretty much a done deal as far as, how would they not know it? They already know because,
right.
Future proves past. So this stuff's probably already done. What you're seeing is actors, and they're doing it for optics because people have to slowly be transitioned. There's no other way around it. So, Greg, that's all we have to say today about this. Do you have any other comments before we close out?
No, just thank you very much. And that I hope that, with time that it's just a little bit clearer and we're able to get our point across easier.
Okay, we'll be back again. Greg, you'll be joining me again, won't you?
You bet you.
Oh,
I look forward to it.
Thank you. So we'll be back again with another proof. We're going to go, they're not always the same. They're not always identical. And Greg is going to show you that sometimes, in this one that we showed today, it was, about the zero, that sometimes the zero is not necessary. So, and that's how you, it was brilliant.
I want to once again state, this is a very, very, very important, that my information is a gift from Jesus. It is not my intelligence that has been able to figure this out. It is my hard work that allows it to happen, but the information and the intelligence is coming from the Holy Ghost. I've been lucky enough to know and believe in Jesus. Amen.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Amen, Greg. And look, we all have our missions. We're all kind of waking up to what we're supposed to be doing and what God-given gifts we all have. So as Greg says, is absolutely right. So we're going to do a Q&A session, but we're not going to do it live because the obvious reasons. If you have a question about a comm, if you go into Greg's Twitter page, I'm going to put that Twitter page in the description section, and you have any questions about any of those proofs or how he does the proofs, put it in the comment section of the video, and then make a comment with your question, and then we can address it in the very next report that we do. So we want to stay on top of this. We want to help people learn how to decode this themselves. But I know it's going to take time, Greg. You know that, right? It's going to take people watching a couple times or many times, right?
Yeah. And I get a little impatient because I do see it's clear as day. And to me, I'm like, well, how come everybody doesn't see it? but that's
Because,
part of it.
well, Greg's the mad genius that he is. So, you know, and that's how geniuses are. I mean, they are totally impatient. So, hey, that's how it goes. Look, Greg, thank you so much for joining me again today. It was a pleasure.
You're very welcome. You have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. So to our viewers, I just want to thank you for viewing. Put your question in the question section so that we can, in the comment section, so that we can address it in our next one and reassure everybody that this plan is going forward, and we're going to keep bringing you the comms as long as we can. So thank you all for viewing. We'll be back tomorrow with a POTUS report, and we're going to be doing our 400th GoldFish report very, very soon, and I'm hoping that's going to be special. So we hope you all enjoy this on this Sunday, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks for viewing, and this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.